Hello friends, today I'm going to show you how to play Louis Armstrong's Christmas Time in New Orleans. Click that link below to get the free PDF to follow along with this lesson. We're going to start off by going over the basic chords to the two sections of the tune, followed by a play along so you have something to practice with, and then finish it out with a bunch of chord substitutions if you want to take it up to the next level. We'll be doing this in the key of B flat, the same as the original Louis Armstrong recording, so you can play along with that recording once you have it under your fingers. And the A section goes a little bit something like this. Magnolia trees at night, sparkling bright, fields of cotton, they look wintry white when it's Christmas time. New Orleans. Be starting on a B flat chord. Hang out here with me. Now you know I'm playing a B flat 6, utilizing that open G string. If you're on low G tuning, you want to put that ring finger down on the 3rd fret of your G string, play a big old B flat chord. But if you're on high G, make use of that beautiful reentrant tuning. We'll be doing downstrokes for this whole tune. Just nice, steady quarter notes. Slow it down just a little bit while we talk about the chords. We're going to strum this B flat 6 4 times. 2, 3, and go to D7th. Back to B flat 6. Why don't we slide into that D7th? To D7, 2, 3, 4. Back to B flat 6. To D7th. Yeah, that's our first little chord change. B flat 6 to D7. Next chord is E flat. It's going to look like this. Just strum it with me. This is going to fly by. We're just going to do this for 2 beats here. And then we're going to go to E diminished 7th, which looks like this. And right on back to B flat 6. That's our first few measures. So we're going to try that together. Walk you through it in time. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're on B flat 6 for 4. D7 for 4. E flat for 2. E diminished 7 for 2. Back to B flat. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's our B flat 6 for 4. D7. E flat for 2. E diminished 7. Back to B flat. Now this time, when we land on this B flat, we're going to just play it for 2 beats and then go to G7th. And this is just going to bring us around a little circle progression that you've probably played before. We're going to go C7th, then F7th. We want this to resolve to B flat. It's in fact not going to, but we're going to go to this B flat for a moment so we can practice the basics of the A section. Let me walk you through the chords. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the start. B flat 6, D7 for 4, E flat for 2, E diminished 7 for 2, B flat right to G7th. Then we're on C7th, F7th, and we're back to B flat here for a moment. Let's try that again with the lyrics. 1, 2, 3. Magnolia trees at night, D7th, sparkling bright, E flat, field, E diminished, of cotton look, B flat, wintry, G7th, C7th, when it's Christmas time, F7th, New Orleans. Now we want that to go to a B flat, but we're going to have a nice little turnaround, which is just a little harmonic passage that gets us back to the top of the tune. This is a very common one. So let's go back to our F7th. We're hanging out here on F7th for a moment. Now all we're going to do is we're going to go down to a D minor 7th, which means take your ring finger, slide it back 1 fret. And then we're going to play 3 chords we already played. G7th, C7th, F7th, and that brings us back to the top of the tune, but we're going to go D minor 7th so we can practice. G7th, C7th, F7th. Let's make a little circle of this. Slide that ring finger down, D minor 7th, G7th, C7th, F7th. One more time just on this little cycle. D minor 7th, G7th, C7th, F7th. Now resolve to B flat, we're at the top. B flat 6, D7th, E flat for just 2 beats, walk it up to E diminished 7th, B flat 6, G7th, over to C7th, F7th. Now our turnarounds, we're going D minor 7th to G7th, C7th, F7th, back to the top of the tune, B flat 6, D7th, E flat for 2 beats, E diminished 7th, B flat 6 to G7th to C7th, F7th, and this time we are going to land on B flat because that's the end of the A section. So back to the beginning, it sounds like this. Magnolia trees at night, sparkling bright, fields of cotton look wintry white when it's Christmas time in New. To the D minor 7, Orleans, here's our turnaround, and we repeat. A barefoot choir in prayer fills the air. Mississippi folk, well, they're gathering there when it's Christmas time in New. To B flat, Orleans. Here's the bridge. You'll see a Dixieland, Santa Claus leading the band to a good old Creole beat. And golly, what a spirit, you could only hear it way down on Basin Street. Come back to this B flat for me. Let's talk about the bridge. You only need one new chord for the bridge. We're starting on D7. 2, 3, 4, 8 strums. Now G minor. 8 strums. C7th. We already know this. Where's C7th usually go? F7th. Back to B flat. This is a nice variation on what's called the rhythm changes bridge. The only difference is we're using a G minor instead of the typical G7. Bridge is nice and easy. Let's try it together. D7, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. G minor, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. C7th, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. F7th. Come back to the B flat for me. Now let's try that with the lyrics. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. You'll see a Dixieland, Santa Claus leading the band, G minor, to a good old Creole beat. Golly, what a spirit, you could only hear it way down on Basin Street. Back to B flat, we're at the top of the tune. Your cares will disappear when you hear hallelujah, St. Nicholas is here when it's Christmas time in New Orleans. Now let's turn on the backing track. Try it along with the band. Magnolia trees at night, sparkling bright, fields of cotton love, winter and white when it's Christmas time in New Orleans. A barefoot choir in prayer fills the air. Mississippi folk with the gathering there when it's Christmas time in New Orleans. You'll see a Dixieland, Santa Claus leading the band to a good old Creole beat. Golly, what a spirit, you could only hear it way down on Basin Street. Your cares will disappear when you hear hallelujah, St. Nicholas is here when it's Christmas time in New Orleans. When it's Christmas time in New Orleans. If you enjoy lessons like this, join me over on the Tin Man's Magic Ukulele Club, where we have new lessons in this style every single week. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. Those chords we just played are nice, but they bounce around a little bit too much for my taste. They just don't sound smooth and connected. So how do we make that happen? And our best friend here is what are called common tones, or keeping one note that is the same between as many of these chords as we can. So if we take our B flat 6 chord, we're going to move it up to 3-5, 3-5. This is going to give us a lot more options, because if we're here, we don't have chords back here we can go to. We can only go up the neck. If we start here, I have this D7th here, I have this D7th here, D9, this D7th here, all of these options that I can use up and down the neck, but we're not going to use any of them. We're going to keep this D, this common tone, where it is, and yes, we could go to this D7th, but I want to show you a D7th I don't think enough people play, which is a D7th without the 5th in it, without the A. And we're going to play 5, 2, 2, 5. This D7th chord separates the F sharp and C a little bit from each other, making it sound less tense. This D7th is actually stepping outside our key of B flat 6, so it sounds a bit jarring. By keeping this common tone here and separating the leading tones, instead of having them here, which is very obvious, separating them a bit, we get a little bit more stable of a sound. So we get, doesn't sound so jarring now. And then as we go to this E flat chord, we're going to add the major 7th to it. Why are we going to add the major 7th? What's that D we've been talking about? We're just going to keep it in the chord. E flat major 7, 3, 3, 3, 5. Allowing this little harmonic trick that we're using of keeping a common tone to guide the extensions in the chord. Now when we get to the E diminished 7th, we need to make this a D flat. But this gives us another really great voice leading thing, which is contrary motion between voices. Or one note goes up, one note goes down. And where are those voices? So when we're here, this comes down to D flat. This E flat comes up to E. So we get this beautiful motion of, which is really providing tension and getting us somewhere. These other two notes are staying exactly the same. So let's listen to that first little line. B flat 6. A cool thing is if we're on B flat 6, to get to a G7th chord is just one note difference. We're taking the B flat and raising it to a B, which gives us 3 common tones. Again, the G7th, it should be a G minor 7th in the key of B flat. That would be our natural 6th chord. So by adding this and highlighting just that one changing note, especially if you're playing low G, it'll be in the bass as well, which is really nice. We're keeping the stability while still having that surprise of a new chord, but then we're just going to change things a little bit more, provide more movement within chords, and use our ultimate movement chord, our diminished 7th chord, and you'll see it's notated as a G7 flat 9, because it's still G7th chord, we're just adding a flat 9 to it, pushing our ear to that next chord, which is a C7th chord. I'm certainly not going to hop down here for it. I'm going to keep my D and play a C7th here, giving me a C9th chord. So we get this beautiful little walk up that sounds like this. So now we have this parallel motion, where all 3 of these notes moving together while keeping the D as a common tone, keeping something stable within the chord while everything else moves. We're going to an F7th chord, but what if we keep this D in here? Keep this one common tone through as much as we can. We can end up with an F13 chord, 2, 3, 3, 5. We have the 9th here as well, the G, and then we have our leading tones, the A and the E flat. So we're going from C7 with an added 9th to F13. And hear how tense that is, but also how stable. Let's play from that B flat 6. So we get, Now remember, we did a little turnaround here of D minor 7th, G 7th, C 7th, F 7th. Let's revoice that with chords we've mostly already used. We're going to go D minor 7th, played up here on the 5th fret. Then we drop down to that diminished chord, the G7 flat 9 we just played. 2 voices moving down right into the C9, and then F13 again, finally ending by adding a flat 9 to that 13, so we get 2, 3, 2, 3. And if all of this just sounds like a foreign language to you, I'm going to link to my video here on how to understand chord extensions and where they all come from so that you can find them and start to utilize them yourself. Now let's listen to this A section the first time through with all these chord substitutions in here. So we get magnolia trees at night, sparkling bright, fair as a cotton love, wintry white when it's Christmas time in New Orleans. And again, barefoot choir in prayer fills the air. The Mississippi folk where they're gathering, and there when it's Christmas time in New Orleans. This time we drop right back to our B flat 6, and let's do a little turnaround here as well. Instead of staying here the whole time, let's get to that D7th. A nice little turn of B flat, E flat major 7. We're still playing with this D here. Back to B flat 6, and then we're going to do a minor 2-5-1 to this D7th. So instead of E minor 7th to A 7th, we're going to play E minor 7 flat 5. Note that this is the same as your C9. It's just going by a different name now. Slide the pinky back to an A7 with a flat 9. Again, just one of our diminished chord shapes. Our turnaround becomes, and that's going to give us more motion and propel the ear to that D7th, which again is stepping outside of our key. That dominant 3 chord is going to just be a little bit jarring sounding. So by setting it up with a 2-5-1, we make it feel more like it belongs where we're at. So the D7th will come up to this voicing now, 5-6-5-5. Let's use a passing diminished chord here. Again, D7 with a flat 9. These diminished chords are always flat 9 chords. It's still just a D7th. We're adding an E flat to it. And come down to our G minor 7th. Note, same as our B flat 6 chord, right? Instead of hanging out on this G minor 7th for 2 measures, let's provide some movement. One great thing you can do if you're stuck on a chord for a while is just put the dominant chord, targeting that chord, in the middle of it. So in this case, it's a D7th. We're going to do it again with our flat 9. I'm just in a kind of diminished mood right now. G minor 7th, D7 flat 9, G minor 7th, which just provides a little bit of movement. And then instead of staying here, let's use that diminished shape again to get us to our C9. And G7 with a flat 9. We'll hang out on this C9 for a while. You can drag the pinky down if you want, make it a flat 9. It's up to you. And then finally, on this last little bit, when we get to the F7th chord, let's add some extra tensions here. So we can use our F13. F13 with the flat 9 that we already did, probably a stretch for you. And then F7 with a flat 9 and a flat 13. How wonderful is that? You can also think of this as a B9 chord. How beautiful is that tone? But we get this nice little... We're adding one tension with each strum. So as we're coming from the C9, we get... Golly, what a spirit, you can only hear it way down on Basin Street. We get that really tense chord that brings us right back to B flat 6. So let's listen to the entire bridge now, starting on the turnaround before that. You'll see a Dixieland, Santa Claus leading the band to a good old Creole beat. Golly, what a spirit, you can only hear it way down on Basin Street. Your cares will disappear as you hear hallelujah. St. Nicholas is here when it's Christmas time in New Orleans. Now, obviously, these chords are not for an arrangement. These are just ideas of what you can do, and it's up to you to come up with your own ideas. But think about these concepts we've talked about of keeping a common tone between the chords to provide stability through tense chord changes, of using contrary motion in chords, two voices that go against each other, using parallel motion, taking a few of the voices or a few of our strings and moving them at the same space while keeping something else common to keep that stability. I hope you all have enjoyed this lesson. I'll see you soon.